Hello YouTube, Freddie Cardona here. Welcome back to Driving and the News. Sorry I wasn't able to put out a Driving and the News video yesterday. I took a ride sharing to work. So I took ride sharing, took an Uber. So I hope you guys enjoyed the last video that I put up. I went to my favorite place in Clifton called The Cliff, 1F, The Cliff Tavern. If you missed that video, please check it out. And in this video, we're going to drive in Paterson, New Jersey. And remember, if you're here for the first time, you just saw my video. My name is Freddie Cardona. This Driving in the News playlist is being done because we want to record history. The purpose is for folks to be able to come back on any random day, for the most part, between Monday to Friday, and sometimes on the weekends during breaking news, and be able to see the news. So you'd be commuting with me on my way to work. So that's the purpose. I go to work every morning, I listen to 1010 Wins, and I thought it'd be a good idea to document the snippets of news that occur on those days. All right, guys, enough talking. Let's get you the news here in Paterson, New Jersey.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM, New York. Good morning, 42 degrees, 7 o'clock. It is Thursday, January 19th. I'm Lee Harris, and here's what's happening. A 13-year-old is under arrest for shooting two other teenagers near Campus Magnet High School in Cambria Heights, Queens. A couple of Congress the aisle and opposite sides of the Hudson are teaming up to derail congestion pricing in the city. More George Santos revelations, indications his mom was not at the World Trade Center on 9/11 as he claims, but Santos may have actually been a drag queen in Brazil. President Biden heading out to California today for a first-hand look at all the storm damage. Democrats in the state Senate say no way to Governor Hochul's choice for the state's chief judge, the first time the state Senate has turned down a governor that way. Sports, the Knicks lost, so did the Islanders. 1010 Wins AccuWeather. Rain most of the time today. We'll have a high of 45 in Midtown. Wins News Time 7:01. Now it's traffic and transit on the ones from Karen Stewart.
Taking a check of what we see on Long Island's Big Three, we've got some mild westbound Southern State travel delays out New Exit 28. If you're traveling the Northern State Parkway eastbound, east of Exit 34 for Brush Hollow Road, we have an unauthorized tractor trailer. The right lane's closed, but again, this is an eastbound Northern State problem. The delays through that area are minor. Now, your LIE trip. Lakeville Road, straight out into Francis Lewis Boulevard, is going to be heavy. And then we've got delays from Main Street out into Woodhaven Boulevard, but from there we're good to the inbound Queens Midtown Tunnel. The Van Wyck northbound is bumper to bumper into Atlantic Avenue. From off the bumper to bumper Belt Parkway with delays that start back at Springfield Boulevard. The inbound Gowanus BQE eastbound is a jam-packed show too from the Prospect into Atlantic. Westbound delays into Atlantic, but we're not jammed. We're jammed on the eastbound BQE getting up to the Grand Central Parkway. The inbound RFK Bridge is a little bit slow because of Upper East Side jam-ups on the Harlem River past the bridge to 120th Street. We're looking at 25 minutes in at the Hudsons as we take a look at what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels, and alternate side of the street is in effect. Odyssey Lottery Recap presented by Jackpocket. Powerball is $473 million. Mega is $20 million. Play them on your phone using Jackpocket. 18 or older to play. If you have a gambling problem, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Traffic every 10 minutes around the clock. I'm Karen Stewart. 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
Two teenagers were shot near a school in Queens, and police say they got the shooter, who is also a teenager, but just barely. He's 13. Now he's charged with assault and weapons possession. Carol Dioria with more from Cambria Heights this morning.
The two teens were found with gunshot wounds on Linden Boulevard and 207th Street, just one block from the Campus Magnet High School. One was a 16-year-old female with a gunshot wound to the right ankle. The other was a 14-year-old male with a gunshot wound to the leg. Both are believed to be students at the school. Eric Barnett is the school's basketball coach. He was with his students inside the school practicing at the time.
That's something that doesn't happen often.
He said it's a safe neighborhood. And he said his basketball program keeps the kids on the straight and narrow.
They were in the gym shooting basketball, so not getting shot by guns or shooting guns. So
Carol DeOria, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM in Cambria Heights, Queens.
A couple of congressmen from both sides of the aisle and both sides of the Hudson are teaming up to fight the implementation of congestion pricing in the city. They'll be in Fort Lee today to explain their derailment legislation. Samantha Liebman is in Fort Lee with a preview.
New Jersey Congressman Josh Gottheimer getting more support from across the aisle, including freshman New York Republican Congressman Mike Lawler, with legislation that would withhold federal funding for capital projects from the MTA if the $23 toll to go below 60th Street goes into effect. Another component?
It would amend our tax code if they go ahead and offer drivers a federal tax credit at the end of the year equal to the amount paid in congestion taxes.
Gottheimer says there's precedent. Late Staten Island Congressman Guy Molinari did the same when the MTA wanted two-way tolling on the Verrazano Bridge. The MTA backed off.
Hopefully this will get them to realize the error of their ways, but if not, we got more coming.
The MTA in a statement saying in part, quote, congestion pricing is good for the environment, good for getting fire trucks, buses, and delivery vehicles through the city, and good for the 90% of people who depend on mass transit. Samantha Liebman, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Fort Lee.
Khalil Anderson represents the Rockaways in the state assembly, and he says it takes too long for buses to come in his district.
My assembly district has among the longest commute times in the entire city of New York. And we're looking and calling on the MTA and the governor to come up with a solution that ensures that we have faster, safer, and more affordable and reliable public transportation.
He and transportation advocates want service every 6 minutes. They'll hold a rally to demand that today at 12:30 at the Beach 21st Street bus terminal, assuming everyone can get there on time. 1010 Winds AccuWeather. Rain much of the time today. Temperature staying within a few degrees of 40. Might get up to 45 by the end of the day. 42 now, mostly cloudy. Humidity at 67. The winds are calm. It's 42. We're going up to 45. Congressman George Santos has developed a reputation as a bit of a fabulist. Among the latest revelations that not everything he says is true is a report that his mother was not at the World Trade Center on 9/11, as Santos has claimed.
When Congressman George Santos was campaigning, he told the story of his mother and how she was inside one of the World Trade Center towers on September 11th. But now records show his mother was not even living in New York. In fact, she wasn't living in the United States at the time. She was living in Brazil. Santos's mother, Fatima DeValder, applied for a visa to enter the U.S. in 2003. And on the application, she said she had not been in the U.S. since 1999. Fatima died in 2016 of cancer. Santos has said that 9/11 played a role in her death. Santos has not responded to this latest report on his lies. Meanwhile, the press secretary for the White House says Santos's resignation is up to the Republican conference to show what they think they owe to the American people. Sophia Hall, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Nassau County, Long Island.
Santos' nemesis and Nassau County legislator Joshua Lafazan will be joining veterans today to condemn Santos for allegedly stealing $3,000 from a GoFundMe account set up to save veteran Richard Osthoff's dying dog.
That dog saved my life more than twice. She knew when my moods were changing. She knew when I was depressed. She knew when I was going manic.
But Osthoff says after a pet charity run by Santos hit the fundraising goal, Santos told him his dog didn't qualify for surgery and that the money had been spent on other pets. Santos says he's never heard of Osthoff. One aspect of the congressman's life which does appear to check out is his work as a drag queen named Kitara. While he was living in Brazil, the New York Post reports it does seem to be Santos in drag in a photo from 2008. President Biden heads out to California today to check out the storm damage.
the president did not wait for this trip to send help to Californians reeling from the latest storms.
We have over 500 FEMA and other federal personnel have already deployed to California to support response and recovery operations.
Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre saying the president will meet with California state and local officials to see what else the federal government can do to help recover from this month's torrential rain, wind, and mudslides. Andy Field, ABC News, Washington.
The federal government's about to hit the debt ceiling again. If this happens to you or me, we have to stop spending so much money, but the White House says that is not an option for the government.
As the national debt hits its statutory cap this week, the Treasury Secretary says extraordinary workarounds should stave off default until late spring. Congressional Republicans say they'll demand spending cuts before agreeing to a debt ceiling increase. Here at the White House, that's a non-starter.
We're just not going to negotiate about that.
Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says there should be no conditions attached. The first ever U.S. default could run global bond and stock markets off a cliff.
Stephen Portnoy of the White House. Congress has raised the debt ceiling about 80 times since the 1960s based on that threat. It's 42 degrees, mostly cloudy. We're going up to a rainy 45 in Midtown today. Governor Hochul has made her pick for the state's chief judge, but her fellow Democrats in charge of the state Senate want her to pick somebody else.
Over the years, the nominating process for New York's highest court has usually been quiet. This one, though, is different.
We have rejected the nominee pursuant to the Senate rules and the Constitution.
The Senate Judiciary Committee is voting down Governor Hochul's nominee for chief judge, Hector LaSalle. Democrats are taking issue with his prior rulings around reproductive rights and labor. Committee Chairman Brad Hoylman-Siegel.
You saw in the questioning, yes, it was thorough, but it was fair and above board.
Governor Hochul disagrees, saying the outcome was predetermined. She's hoping for a vote from the full Senate and hasn't ruled out taking legal action to get there. Hoylman-Siegel calls that prospect a travesty.
To have a constitutional crisis seems to be not in anyone's interest.
Steve Burns, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
21-year-old Nicholas Lewis was in the backyard of his house in the Bronx last night when he was shot to death. This happened just before 9 on Pratt Avenue in the Edenwald section. Family members found the victim in the backyard with a single gunshot wound to his chest. He was taken to Jacoby Hospital where he died. No word yet on who shot him or why. Paterson has a serious violence problem, so today a program set up to prevent violence will be getting $1 million giant novelty check from the federal government to help expand its violence intervention efforts. Congressman Bill Pascrell made the arrangements.
$1 million will be spent in a very, very methodical way with St. Joseph's Hospital in Paterson, because they've been doing some work with us on fighting violence. And before it happens, not after.
Pascrell says politicians cannot just sit by while people kill each other in the city where he grew up and once served as mayor. The federal government agency overseeing Rikers Island wants independent access to surveillance video footage from inside the jail, but City Hall says no. The Board of Correction watchdog agency will still be able to watch requested footage during business hours, but it's losing unfettered access. Among those opposed to the administration blocking access, City Council Speaker Adrienne Adams, who says the policy should be reversed because it undermines the safety of New Yorkers and obstructs accountability. Wednesday news time, 7:11. Now it's traffic and transit on the ones with Karen Stewart.
We've got a couple of things going on Long Island. Eastbound Northern State Parkway, east of exit 34 for Brush Hollow Road. We've got an unauthorized tractor trailer still out there. The right lane is closed. This is eastbound on the Northern State at 34. Westbound on the Southern State at 30 and Broadway, we have an accident. It's over on the left-hand shoulder. There are slowdowns into the area, but that's all we're dealing with. The westbound side of the LIE is tied up a little bit from Lakeville Road. Slow traffic takes you out into Casino Boulevard, and then it's heavy from Casino Boulevard to Woodhaven Boulevard, and a great shot out into the Queens Midtown Tunnel. But just let me warn you, we've got FDR travel delays that are very heavy on the northbound side of the FDR, trying to get up into 60th Street, or 58th Street, actually, to be more exact, from back at 34th Street. That could affect the inbound Queens Midtown Tunnel. 59th Street Bridge is doing well, and the inbound RFK is slow due to the Upper East Side, which is jammed down the Harlem River to 120th Street from the mid to high 130s. Over at the Hudson River, 25 to 30 is the number inbound of the tunnels. The inbound GW Bridge is a 20 to 25 minute wait with alternate side of the street in effect today citywide. We're sponsored by Ray Katina Porsche. Traffic every 10 minutes around the clock. I'm Karen Stewart, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
You know you've made the right decision when you choose a Porsche certified pre-owned vehicle from Ray Katina Porsche. Not only does it meet the exacting standards set by Porsche, it has to meet the high standards set by Ray Katina. When choosing a certified pre-owned Porsche, choose Ray Katina Porsche in Edison. Paterson.
Now let's get the 1010 Winds AccuWeather 4-day forecast from meteorologist Dean DeVore.
All right, sun's coming up here in a couple of minutes. It'll be obscured by the clouds, although you can see a little bit of a glow on the eastern horizon. To the west, we're watching that light rain and drizzle starting to spread in. It looks like it's out and around the 287 corridor, especially as you go west and southwest of the city. It'll flow into the rest of the city, and it will be raining by mid to late morning, and that rain will be pretty steady and potentially even heavy for a while here as we go through the bulk of the day. Temperatures within a few degrees of 40. The rain will taper off this evening, will rise up to about 45 this evening, and then taper back to about 42 at daybreak with a damp start to the morning. But as we go through the day, it's going to be blustery tomorrow. Temperatures up in the upper 40s, real feels in the 30s to near 40 with a shower or two late in the day. And then it's going to be chilly, not as harsh on Saturday. Some sun's out a little bit, the high about 43, mid 40s Sunday as some rain, another round of rain moves in as we're in this progressive pattern right now with system after system. 42 at the moment will cloud over even more and get into the rain by late morning into the afternoon. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Dean DeVore, New York's weather station. 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM.
Only one of you will win my throne made out of bones.
The throne of bones will be mine.
Nay, my niece, the bones are mine alone. Wait, why can't we just multiply the throne of bones? That's what the New York Lottery does with a new cash multiplier. You have the chance to multiply your winnings on top.
All right, guys, that was the news for today, Thursday, January 19th, 2023. I found it funny that during today's broadcast of the news, they made a point to say that Paterson has a violent problem. And for about 5 months now, documenting history and documenting the news, if you guys go back and watch all of these news broadcasts on a daily basis, all you hear is gunshots in Brooklyn. This guy shot in the Bronx. This guy shot in Manhattan. This lady stabbed in the subway. This person assaulted in the subway. This woman sexually assaulted here on this street. That person murdered on this street. But Paterson is, if you, in those 5 months, has there been any shootings in Paterson, New Jersey? Maybe one? But Paterson has the violence problem, not New York. No. New York doesn't have any problem. So I thought that was funny in a sarcastic way. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening and watching and commuting with me and listening to the news. And we'll see you on the next video.